Turtle, Power Turtle. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 44 of Games My Mom Found. I am Michael Albertin, and who are the middle-aged mutant ninja turtles with me tonight?
That kind of hurts.
Stefan JD.
And the cool but rude one of Red Fox.
I've been waiting to use that line for a lot longer. I'm like, don't forget. So I remember.
Well played, because I feel like garbage now.
Well, we're all 30. We're all in our 30s. That's the funny part. I mean, Stu isn't, but the rest of us are.
You ever see those Ninja Turtle shirts that say, I'm actually in my 30s, but it's the TMNT logo?
I have not. Oh, that's kind of cool. All right. I think I should introduce what wonderful game we're playing tonight. Talking about tonight, close enough. You could play it tonight. You could beat it while you're listening to this podcast easily. Short enough. We are talking about TMNT 4, Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. It doesn't really need that number, but it has it. Made by Konami, came out in, looks like, August 1992.
Sounds about right. That's about the same year that the second Turtles movie came out.
Oh, God. But I haven't seen that movie in so many years that I can't really say if it was good or not. Like, I remember as a kid, I thought it was good.
Oh, yeah. As a kid, I absolutely loved it because it was much closer to what the cartoon was and a lot more goofy and things. But no, especially as an adult, the first one holds up a lot more.
Okay. I haven't seen either in years. I own them, but I haven't seen them in years. So, that's the thing, too, about this game. There's a lot of elements from the second movie in here. I wouldn't say anything from the first one, but from the second one, you see some elements in this game.
Yep, that's true.
Okay. I actually have a good memory of this game that I do want to share real quick before I get too far. This game actually was a game my mom found. I actually had got this when I got my Super Nintendo. I can't remember when it was, Christmas, birthday. I don't remember anything. All I remember is I got a Super Nintendo, and my mom had got me my first game, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. And that didn't go so well. I got nowhere, and I remember just being like heartbroken. I'm like, I can't even enjoy this. Like, I can't play this. And I wanted to maybe a couple days later or something. I had like Turtles at the time, so not knowing anything about games, she had went and picked up this game, which I was able to play. It had played many times over the years, especially with my dad. So it's a lot of great memories when it comes to this old game.
I also have a memory. Mine is not a good memory. Well, actually, I should say I have two memories, but the bad one is that when I was growing up and this came out, I had just an NES, and the kid down the street had a Super Nintendo, and I forget his name. It was like he looked like Dennis the Menace, and I would go over there and we would play it for 5 minutes, and then he would turn it off. And I'm like, okay.
So you almost beat the game then in 5 minutes.
Yeah, and he'd be like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, well, I'm not. And he'd be like, well, let's go do something else. I'm like, I'm going home. Fuck you.
I want to play Turtles.
Yeah. So that was the bad memory. The good stuff, though, is that this was in the arcade back in the day, and I got to play the shit out of it in the arcade. And the good memories.
I know I feel like I played the arcade version, but it never really mattered to me because I had the Super Nintendo. I mean, I had the Super Nintendo version. I want to say they're pretty close to the same game. I don't know if there's too many differences or not.
I don't know. I don't remember either. Mm-hmm.
I didn't do research for that before this episode.
Me either. But as far as I remember these arcade cabinets being at like Chuck E. Cheese's and things like that all over the place.
They were all the rage.
And X-Men and.
I mean, this definitely goes down as one of the best beat 'em ups of the Super Nintendo generation, or just a beat 'em up in general. Like this is one. That's what this game is known for when you look back at it.
I'd say it's definitely one of the better Turtles games. As far as like overall beat 'em ups, I have different picks. I wouldn't say, in as big as a Turtles fan as I am, it's definitely not my favorite beat 'em up.
Okay, it's mine, but that's because there's all that. I mean, as I was replaying it for the episode, all the nostalgia came flooding back to me as I'm playing through this game. Like, it just hit me right off the bat. But the first question I should ask is, what turtle did everybody pick? I always had to go with my favorite, Leonardo, even though I know he's not the most powerful in this game. But I love Leo, so I had to go.
I'm surprised you feel that way, Mike. No, I usually pick Raphael because that's my favorite turtle. But in this game, I'm gonna say that Donatello is probably the best pick, the best one to pick.
In a lot of these older Turtles beat 'em ups, it always came down to the Turtles that had like the length advantage. So Katana's with Leo and Bow Staff with Donatello. But even then, I was such a loyalist when it came to Raphael. I loved him so much that I always picked his ass. I didn't care how short his reach was. I always picked him.
He is the best character in this game. If you're a speedrunner, you want to go with Raphael because he has the most powerful attacks.
Okay.
I believe it.
I watched a speedrun of this with two guys playing, and there's a glitch they do in the game to turn Donatello into Raphael, so you have two Raphaels. The game thinks you have two Raphaels. But yeah, that's because I think Donatello is I can't remember what special he has, but because of his length, he's one of the better characters. Raphael's considered the best for speedrunning though. So there's your fun fact about this old game. And they did re-release this game in 2009, which I did play, not for the show, but I played before, which is Turtles in Time Reshell. But if I remember correctly, that didn't even have the entire game. Like, it was missing some of the 10 levels that we get in this game.
And that's actually when I skipped out on, because I was so excited for that to come out. I was waiting for it. I was counting down. And then I read the reviews and they're like, oh, this is absolute turtle shit. And I was like, okay, well, I won't play it.
Yeah, it's bad. I played it. I'm pretty sure you can't buy it anymore because licensing.
Yeah,
it's would you say it's pizza shit?
There you go.
Didn't work. All right, but this,
I gotta work on my puns.
This is so special is that it was two players. I mean, when I played it for the show, I just played a single player by myself. But that was one of the things that was so awesome about this game, and still is awesome about this game, is that it's a two-player beat 'em up. You can play with a friend. It's easy to pick up. I mean, the controls are real simple. Everyone is very fluid, fast. All the turtles handle great. Like, I was playing some other beat 'em ups not for the show, but just to kind of just play it. Like, I played something called Sonic Blastman for Super Nintendo. And my God, did that make Turtles look like a freaking game made by God or something? Because you can see what a bad beat 'em up feels like. It's just, and then compared to this, where everything is fast, enemies go down quickly. You start beating them, they're gone, and more foot soldiers are replacing them. And it never feels, they don't overstay their welcome. You can kick their asses quickly, and it's fun.
It's definitely a smooth game for sure. But you got to think that Konami had a hand in this. Konami was kicking ass back in the 90s with beat 'em ups. I mean, even in 92, they were still doing their thing, and this is just a testament to that.
Yeah, they made some really good games. Unfortunately, they don't make games anymore, but some really good games.
And stabbed Metal Gear to death.
Yeah,
it's true.
They stabbed a lot of things to death. Castlevania, Metal Gear, and there's a bunch of them.
Yeah, man.
I want to say, well, I do know this game came out way after the cartoon came out, but I do like it. That they also,
I wouldn't say way after, but maybe
4 years.
4 years, yeah.
I mean, how long did that cartoon even run?
It's in the mid-90s at least.
I think it's like 7 or 8 years. At one point, I tried to go back and rewatch a bunch of the early episodes. Like, yeah, I'm going to go back. Yeah, I didn't get far.
Oh, no, that's hard to watch. And again, love Turtles to death, but it's hard to watch that old cartoon.
It's tough. It's really tough.
They had that one that came out back about 10 years ago. I think it was 09 when it came out. That Turtles Forever or whatever that was called.
There's also one do you think the one that came out 2003 where they have the white eyes?
No, I'm not thinking of that one. That's
you're talking about the next one.
Okay. The Turtles Forever was the mix of pretty much all Turtles that came before it. They made some type of appearance in there.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
That was actually pretty good.
I don't think we need to go into detail who all the turtles are, because if you're listening to this, you should know. But we can. Leonardo has katanas, Donatello has a staff, Raphael has sais, and Michelangelo has nunchucks. As I can see, none of us are Michelangelo fans because he sucks. So we shouldn't. But
he's the party dude.
I never liked him as a kid, and as an adult, I still don't like him. Never changed.
I don't either.
This game actually has a story, sort of. There's not kind of.
As beat 'em ups go, they always got those kind of loose stories. Yeah, sure.
Well, it all starts off with Shredder kidnapping. No, he didn't even kidnap Splinter.
He kidnapped the Statue of Liberty.
That's what it was. I didn't watch it.
In his big android like bodysuit. Just picked it up like it wasn't shit and flew off.
Well, that was Krang. not Shredder, but Krang.
Yeah,
right?
well, yeah, Krang, yeah.
Super Krang is what they call it in that suit. Yeah, Super Krang.
Super Krang.
Sure.
It's. These are all, It's just funny how this stuff from the cartoon that becomes later on in the games and everything else wasn't in the comics that Turtles originate from. Like, it's all just stuff that they created. I always love that.
What do you mean in the cartoon?
Well, yeah, a lot of the villains that you have in the cartoon that are now mainstays weren't in the comics.
Oh yeah, like Bebop and Rocksteady. Yeah. The different colored bandanas and sure.
Yeah. Some of the bad guys as well were just simply made to sell more toys. Like, they didn't appear in the TV show or anything. They would just appear in the game, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, I bought so many turtle toys. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I have so many at home. They're in my parents' house still. Someday I'll go through them all.
Our poor parents.
Still got the 4 original Turtles in a box, never opened, and I had that since I was a kid.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
They're just the Turtles are. They have always played such a big part. At least when I was a kid, they played a big part of me being a kid. As I grew up, I didn't really stay with Turtles. I went on other things. I know with you, Red, you stayed on a lot with Turtles and still love the Turtles.
Yeah, I never let go. There was points where I kind of backed off, but there was a part of me, like anytime I went to a Target, there was a part of me that just still wanted to go through the toy aisle. And every time I saw like the 03 Turtles, like you were talking about, or whatever that was, whatever year that was, and I saw them in the toy aisle, and I was like, holy shit, man, I need that. I gotta get something. I didn't watch the show or anything anymore, like the reboot or whatever it was, but I still had that love for them.
Yeah, there's actually a store that's like less than a quarter of a mile away from me. It's called Collector's Marketplace, and they literally have every single vintage Turtles toy from the 80s and 90s.
Damn.
And like they even have like the little like banks and like all the little cars and everything. But of course, it's expensive. So
back when I was checking that stuff on eBay a couple of years ago, I was trying to catch in mint in box Raphael. It was like 80 plus.
Oh man,
on eBay. Yeah. And that's still not the most expensive turtle I bought. So
one thing I think we should kind of dig into this game. So I kind of mentioned earlier, this game is broken into, I think I want to say 9 or 10 levels. And at first it starts off, because you're going after Shredder, Krang and Shredder because they stole Statue of Liberty. But I do like how it found a way to incorporate so many of the villains from the cartoon and the comics into this game as bosses. And I thought it's just awesome. Like the first,
I have a love-hate relationship with that, but go ahead, continue.
I like it. I have no, but we can talk about it. Like the first level is Big Apple, where you fight Baxter Stockman in his fly form. I forgot that he wasn't the Fly right away in the comics. Like he's Baxter for a little while.
In the comics?
Yeah, because he invents the Mousers.
For one, in the comics, he's actually black.
Yeah.
In the cartoon, he was a ginger. Yeah, he was. As far as I remember in the original Mirage, I don't know if he turned into a Fly at all, but he was a human for a very long time.
In the 2003 cartoon, he's not a Fly. He ends up, as he fails, he keeps losing body parts, and he becomes more of a robot. Because every time he fails Shredder, they cut off something. They take an eye, they take a leg, then eventually take his whole body. He's just a brain and a tube because he keeps failing. 2003 cartoon is really good and really dark, by the way. But it's good.
Yeah, I heard it's a lot darker.
Oh yeah, it's also much closer to the comics too. But so Baxter Stockman, he was the first boss. I always remember him as a kid too, and I remember one thing that used to annoy me a lot as a kid. It didn't happen to me as an adult because I just wasn't dumb enough to jump into it. If you jump into him and he hits you with this stupid gun he has where he shoots out a hand, he goes or some kind of laugh he does, and it used to irritate me to hell. It used to make me so mad. I'm like, don't laugh at me, stupid game.
The game's mocking you.
Yeah, it does. There are times we'll get into, but I like Bax. I want to say I like Bax in the cartoon, even though I can't really remember him in the original cartoon. I just remember I had his toy at one point, and I remember this fight has always stood out to me because it's the first boss fight of the game.
So I'm trying to piece this together too, and I don't think they really covered in the game. what was the motivation for taking the Statue of Liberty to begin with? And then you got these baddies like Baxter just kind of standing guard and trying to stop you from going to get the Statue of Liberty back, I guess. But what was the purpose of taking it?
To be evil. I
don't.
I honestly don't know. That's a good question.
I'm reading Wikipedia. It doesn't say on here either. I'm just gonna
anyway. So Baxter's put in place to stop you from getting that Statue of Liberty back. But I guess while we're on that topic of Baxter and that first level, let's talk about the scenery a little bit. Like I enjoyed the scenery. I didn't really like that it looks like you're suspended up in the air on some like catwalk or whatever that is, or a
like
bridge.
Construction site.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, construction, because you see the cones or whatnot. But I did like the backdrop of New York, and that's something like that reminded me of the first movie that I always loved about the first movie, and again about the 90s in general. Just that gritty 90s kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That. I forget about how that's such a normal thing nowadays. Like the grit, when you look back at the 90s, the gritty 90, like that's not an uncommon thing to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. For some reason, that's just kind of how things panned out. Whether it was movies, the music, it was just the time, the era.
90s were a gritty time, huh? Sometimes I forget how long ago that is. 30 years.
Yeah.
Time flies. Yeah. But I do like it as you're walking across. You even have that scene in the first level where Super Krang is trying to shoot you with eye beams as you're jumping over fighting foot soldiers.
Yeah. I mean, as brief as a part as that was, it was a nice touch to the level.
Yeah, I feel like they do nice little turtle things too, where like if you walk over a manhole and you fall in, like their eyes stay in the air and then follow them afterwards.
Like I'm scared of the dark. Or they say something.
Shell shocked or something.
Shell shocked when you die. I heard.
Cowabunga.
Yep. When you finish the level. I really, for some reason, as a kid and still as an adult, I really like the second level, Alley Cat Blues. And also, I like how every level has like a timestamp, like as they're traveling through the day, at least in the first half of the game, as they're trying to stop Shredder. Like I think it's like 9 a.m. or 2 p.m. or I don't remember. I didn't write that down.
Yeah, there's this awesome voice. I don't even know why they added it, but it's kind of cool. When you start a level, it just says like the Big Apple, 3 a.m. and then it starts the level. I don't know. It's cool.
It is cool. I really like the second level. Like when you're running around in the alley and you're fighting the foot soldiers. That level to me is something that really stands out too. Is a really cool level.
It felt more fitting of the Turtles than the first level.
Yeah. Because you're on the ground, and then that's what the turtle. I mean, you're a turtle. You should be in the street. You shouldn't be in the freaking skyscrapers running around. They're turtles, not eagles.
It was a more common backdrop that you would see in, say, a movie or even the comic.
I was also a big fan of. For some reason, I really like Metalhead. That's the boss of the second level. I don't know why, but I like Metalhead. I'm probably
He's
just
like
I like Metalhead too. Turtle Terminator, or like the turtle equivalent of like Mechagodzilla.
He's made by Donatello, I want to say, in the comics or the cartoon. I don't remember if he's in the comics or not.
It really depends on what continuity you're talking about.
Okay.
Like in the more modern continuity, I want to say it was made by either Donatello or his scientist friend.
Okay.
Again, it really matters.
Yeah, because they do change so much with the Turtles every time that you switch on to a new cartoon. They've never been the same.
Yeah.
Like I've seen the current Turtle stuff, and it just threw me off completely. But it's not made for me. They're not trying to get this 32-year-old to watch the new Turtles cartoon. They're trying to get the kids to watch.
Right. And I tried watching the 2012 cartoon that came out, the CGI good one. And it's actually not bad, but again, it's not my era of Turtles. And the only thing that can keep me going back to Turtles and appreciate them for what I knew them as is always buy the action figures that come out that represent those 90s movies, or maybe even the 80s cartoon, or checking out the more modern comics. Same with Power Rangers. If I want to really get into Power Rangers, like I still do, I got to continue to read the comics and keep up that way.
Yeah, I want to say that all this stuff like the Turtles, the first Turtles movie, really kind of like straddled that line of being really dark, really serious, but at the same time lighthearted and funny. And I think that the comic books, thank God it's comic books. I just crossed my chest. No, but they kept it alive. Like I know Power Rangers Shattered Grid came out, and that's supposed to be amazing. I know that Laird and what's his name?
Kevin.
Yeah, Eastman. They continued doing runs on Turtles too. So I mean, it came from the comics. I'm not surprised it's still going in the comics. It's a great thing. But it's they've always straddled that line, like I said, and I think even in this game, it could. I mean, some parts of it aren't dark, but it's still got that lightheartedness.
Yeah, like especially I mean, one part that really shows it when you get to the next level, sewer surfing, and as you're running through on these little like what surfboards, I think, are they?
Hoverboard.
Like that, yeah.
I mean, I thought, but one thing that like that's another game where it really starts to show its like comedy to it is when you get hit by these big floating red balls with spikes on it. He goes, my toe, my toe, my toe.
I know you were waiting to bring that up.
Yeah, I've been waiting a long time to make that voice. I remember as a kid, it used to piss me off like, "Yeah, stupid turtle." And I remember I used to play with my dad. He would always get hit by the damn red things. I'm like, "Don't get hit by him." He just, I don't know. He just couldn't do it. I'd always hear, "My toe, my toe."
Well,
that's not the weirdest thing that happened in that sewer. I mean, what about those yellow xenomorphs?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. There's like literal aliens from the movie Aliens in the sewer.
And they had a very original name. Pizza Monsters, what their name is in the game.
They're in an episode of the 1987 cartoon that I had on VHS that I watched more times than I can remember. But they're in the cartoon. They're little red monsters in the cartoon when they first show up, and then they get into the sewers and they get bigger.
You'd think it would be alligators.
I just can't believe I still remember that. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and I also remember that in that episode of the cartoon, I'm just going to rehash my memory because I can. I think April's friend gets a pizza delivered that was by Shredder, puts it in the microwave, and that's when the little monsters come out because it was a trap.
Wow. They were super
There's
creative
the information
back
you
then.
didn't ask for. You didn't ask for that. You got anyway in this episode.
Fun facts.
Oh man, I love turtles. I really did as a kid. But I forgot about like when I was a kid. I never had seen Alien at the time, but I never put two and two together. They're freaking aliens in the movie Alien. Like that never clicked to me until I was older, and I'm like, oh, that's a ripoff.
Yeah, they did a lot of ripoffs in Turtles, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. It was the gritty 90s. You could get away with it.
Mm-hmm. I think at one point the Turtles even become Ghostbusters or something. Don't remember specifically, but I'm pretty sure that happened.
In the modern comics, they actually do a crossover with Ghostbusters.
Oh man, that's awesome.
I'm actually on that right now.
I shouldn't surprise that. I mean, that's what happened with a lot of the stuff that we grew up with when we were kids is now being crossed over with everything else in comics. I mean, Turtles, Batman, Turtles, Power Rangers coming out. So I shouldn't be surprised. Oh, but when you fight, what do you guys think of the Rat King, the boss in the sewer level? Like, he's easy, but
yeah, he's easy. I always thought he was a cool enemy. He always looked kind of cool. He looked kind of like a sewer mummy, I guess is the best way to describe him. He has some like weird, I don't know what kind of vehicle that is. He's sitting on in that sewer.
I had this toy of that ship.
It looks very familiar. You know, as I was playing it yesterday, I was thinking like, I think I might have had a toy like that.
Oh yeah, there literally is a toy. I know I had it. It was one of my bath toys. I still have it somewhere in that house. I gotta find it. But there was a toy.
Well, I actually I like this character, but it's actually a ripoff of Ratcatcher from Batman.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, Ratcatcher came out in Detective Comics 585 in April of '88.
Okay.
So it came out before. Otherwise, it'd be vice versa. But yeah, it's a ripoff of a DC character. Again, parody.
What was the first year that he came out?
88.
For Ratcatcher?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. April 1988.
Well, it depends. If I'm pretty sure Rat King was in the original Mirage, and that was in '84.
Let's find out. We'll use the handy dandy internet. Well, that didn't. Okay, 1988 is when he first appeared in
Rat
Tales
King?
of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4. February
Oh,
1988.
so Rat King came out 2 months before Rat Catcher and Batman.
Yes.
Wow.
Take that.
Oh,
I don't know what to go say with it, but yeah. He just always seems a really stupid ass character to me. I barely remember him in the cartoons. I know he's in the cartoons. I'm looking at screenshots of him from the cartoon, but I don't remember him. But that doesn't mean anything. It's been so many years. But I mean, that fight was, I liked it, but it wasn't, he was never one of the characters that stood out to me when it came to Turtles.
Yeah, he just kind of looks like a bum, really.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I always thought he was.
The toy back in the day actually had a ran over cat that attached to him as a belt. Yeah.
Those toys were cool. Stupid. But I see what you mean. I was just pulled up a screenshot of it right there. Yeah, you were not kidding. Wow. Okay. And then it's the fourth level when this game starts to kind of become more what it is. And I always remember as a kid when you see that scene of the four turtles standing in the underground tunnel with the technodrome in the background with a pink screen behind it. I was always like, oh, we're in for trouble. That was still cool as an adult when I saw that level. When you start the fourth level.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I love technodrome. Let's kick some shell. Let's kick shell.
I like how Shredder has his TVs lined up like it's from that movie Blank Check, where just it's one image, but it's all these TVs that have to make up the one image. The 90s.
No idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a Disney movie. Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I really like when you get in the technodrome. I mean, that was a level that I felt was like really cool, and you have the mouser breaking through the glass and coming after you. I like mousers. I always like mousers.
Yeah, they're cute.
They irritate me in this game when I played it as an adult, but as a kid, I thought they were awesome. So
I like mousers, but they're annoying as shit.
Yes.
In most
They're
games,
really cool
they are
in the
annoying
comics.
as shit.
In the comics, they are deadly. Like when I was at one point, I went back and read a bunch of the early Mirage comics, and they made those things just really fucking deadly.
They were devastating. Turtles were.
If you watch it, yeah, they fucked up the turtles in the comic, in the original Mirage comics.
They do.
I think they're like an issue 2, right?
Yeah, it's very early. Like those mousers were created to like kill like mice and rats and things like that. And how ironic that Splinter is the biggest rat of them all, and that's where they go attack the turtles in their own lair and kind of flesh them out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't they like stonewall them into a tunnel or something, and they're trying to like keep them out from getting in? I can't remember exactly.
Something like that.
Yeah. I got the comic on my shelf. Damn it! I should just open it up.
But speaking, I mean, I want it, and then the in this level, one thing I'll special about level, you have two different boss fights. The first boss fight you do, which is one that's always stuck with me as a kid as being like one of those really awesome moments, and it's still awesome. You fight Toka and Razor. I'm saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Razor.
Okay. Razor. Were they in the? They must have been in the comics too, but I always remember them from the second Turtles movie.
That's where they originated. Was that second Turtles movie?
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Then they later appeared in the comics and the cartoons.
Yeah.
Okay. Huh. I did not remember that because it's been so many years, but I really like both of them. I mean, Toka is just Toka. It's a big fat turtle.
It's a snapping turtle.
Snapping turtle. Right? And
the
thing with Toka though, and I always thought he took a backseat to Slash. Slash was always more to me, and I would have liked to see him more often as a badass hunter or killer or something like that. Whereas Toka was just a retarded baby.
You're just talking about the movie. I mean, that's how he's portrayed in other things too.
Well, as far as like how he's portrayed in other stuff, I don't know too well, but I know for sure in the movie both of them were just dumb.
Well, it's supposed to be a little turtle and a little puppy that they inject with the mutagen to fight the turtles because they're using the same mutagen to make them powerful. I mean, that was the whole idea of it, right?
Yeah.
I think that obviously the route they went was just because they wanted to make it more kid friendly, even more so than the first one, and that's the route they went.
I mean, they were good in the movie. I mean, I remember I remember liking them in the movie, but it's been so long.
Well, then again, we were like how old when I came out? So
I remember watching it when we first met. So I would have been in 6th grade.
You actually watched it at that point?
I feel like we did. Maybe I'm just remembering
Did we?
incorrectly. I mean,
Maybe we
I
did.
thought we did. I remember at some point I watched it and I thought it was cool.
Either way, I love the movie. So don't get me wrong. They're not bad. I just thought that Toka kind of took a backseat to somebody that had the potential to be much cooler as a badass turtle, and that was Slash.
We'll be talking about here very soon. But
We'll
like with
get to
Toka and
very soon.
Razor, even when you do the boss fight, I like it how one breathes fire and one breathes ice, and I like that they have the animations where if you get burned, your turtle's all burnt from the top up, like just a black charred charcoal, and then if he gets frozen, he's an ice block. I thought that was still so cool. I mean, I would save and load when it happened just because, but it is still.
I mean, the sprites in this game look amazing. They obviously took notes from the cartoon and made them try to look as identical as possible.
I mean, just the Technodrome itself is a testament to that. Look how good that looked in that cutscene.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, look how good April looked. You know what I'm saying? She looked pretty good.
See, I didn't think that when I was a kid when I first played this game. I didn't see the cutscene because I skipped it because that's what I do. Okay, time to read.
Don't got time to read.
Time to podcast. But when you beat Toka and Razor, whatever the hell his name is, I like the fact that he turns into a little baby turtle kicking there while you're finishing the fight, and the other one turns into a puppy. Like I thought that was a really nice little touch.
I like that they did that too, and that was also a callback from that second movie at the end of it.
Oh, that's what happens in the movie, isn't they turn them back into babies?
Yeah, they eat some stuff that the doctor actually or the professor actually creates, and they put them in donuts. They have them eat the donuts. They eat them, and they revert back to little babies, little animal babies.
Yeah, they find out that there's the pills in the donuts, and then they have to use fire extinguishers to like shove them down their throats or whatever. Because isn't it whatever's in a fire extinguisher, like CO2 or whatever, isn't that what reverts the mutagen or something?
I don't know if they went that deep with it, but maybe.
Hire me. No.
It's been a long time. I should have watched those movies. I don't think they're on streamable anywhere.
I don't think anymore.
I would definitely watch them. Okay. And then when you get to as a kid, I didn't like this fight. I still don't really care for this fight when you fight Shredder. And he first says, and you see all the TVs with just his face on, he's like, I'm going to make turtle soup. And I remember as a kid, I'm like, turtle soup? What the hell is he talking about? And come as an adult and find out, that's a real thing. People actually want to eat turtle soup. I never eat turtle soup. I never want to eat turtle soup.
He said it a lot in the cartoon too, but
I will never eat turtle soup. Because all I could think about would be this game. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Video game, saving turtles.
I don't know. The idea of turtle soup to me, like I remember one time I was at a park and some guy wanted to pull out this giant snapper and he's like, I'm going to take him home and make turtle soup. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to help you get this turtle because he was trying to catch and he wanted us to help him. And I'm like, I was a kid at this time. And then when he said turtle soup, I'm like, yeah, you're good. We ain't helping you do nothing. I lost all interest in wanting to help someone kill a turtle.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's really dark. I hope you don't talk to that person anymore.
I don't know who he was. He was just some random guy at the park, and just a random memory. It just happened to pop in just now, so I decided to say it. That's all. I have no idea who it was. Just some random guy. Okay, so when you fight Shredder, like this fight is different because you're not like normally it's always a sprite that's next to you trying to kick your ass. Here he's in the foreground, and he has these two giant claws that are trying to stab you, and his little reticle is trying to line up on you and shoot you, and you have to beat up the foot soldiers.
No, I was just gonna say that. Go ahead.
You got to beat up foot soldiers and throw them into them. And I always couldn't. As a kid, I think I had a hard time with this. Like you had to do some kind of special to throw them, which I don't think you do.
Mm-hmm. You have to get really close close combat.
You gotta like stun them first, and then like get up close, and then throw them, right? Or
I did it a whole bunch this time, but I feel like as a kid, it wasn't. I was having a hard time with it.
Yeah, in my experience, I feel like it was just because you'd grab a foot soldier if it was really, really close to you, but I could be wrong. It could be a stun.
Stun makes sense.
Well, what's interesting about this too is this is Konami's way of trying to, break the monotony, trying to switch up the boss battle for you, give you something a little different. And at Shredder, it should be something different, right? But at the same time, this is also the first time they gave you a second boss within the same level, like a second set of bosses.
The only time, too. in this whole game that you fight 2 bosses in one level.
Oh yeah.
It was always an odd fight. I didn't care for it. I mean, it's kind of cool, but I don't care for it. It's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say the Shredder fight in the NES version is better, but it's not better. It's just as bad.
We're not even gonna talk. Someday we might do that game on this show if we feel like hating ourselves, but not now.
Yeah, Mike's gonna hate it.
I already know.
Even with save states.
Oh, come on now! I played this with save state. Think I'm gonna play anything without save state? You fucking crazy! That's how I play games. I once had a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna beat this game legit. Like I was trying to beat Super Mario World legit. Then I realized, if I just hit this trigger and I save state, this game's a lot. And then I just went to a point where I said, who am I trying to impress? Myself? Myself don't care. Like I'm not impressing nobody. So I stopped playing legit. I just play how I play. I enjoy it. And when I put it on my list, I put a little asterisk next to it with an SS for save states. So I justify it to myself. All right.
At least you're honest
with
yourself.
Yeah. I wouldn't beat games if I didn't. I'm too busy. I got too much shit going on. Even before this podcast. Like I couldn't make myself do it. That's why
we're adults, man. We don't have all the time in the world anymore.
Oh, I do miss. Sometimes I miss those days. But and this is when the game takes a big twist. This is when you beat Shredder and he's like, and he jumps into the TV, which becomes like a time portal. I think either it sucks you in or you follow in. I don't remember.
I think it sucks you in.
Yeah, I
could be wrong.
In there.
Mm-hmm.
Which I remember as a kid, I thought that was so cool as a kid. I was like, wow, you're going through time. Like the next level is 65,000 BC. I think where no turtle has gone. Or something. No, that's way later. And then it says prehistoric Turtlesaurus. And
yeah, I thought it was cool until Dennis the Menace turned off the console.
Was it your 5-minute mark?
Yeah. Like, oh, we're going in time. No, we're not. We're going to go outside and play.
That was your introduction to ADHD, apparently.
Apparently.
I didn't think about that when he first told, but that's probably what it was. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in the early 90s, that wouldn't have been, in seriously speaking, that probably wouldn't have been treated either. It would have just been like, he's hyper. Give him less sugar. So not actually treated the cause.
This kid's a menace. Yeah.
I really like this level. I was a kid, I loved dinosaurs, and I still like dinosaurs. But this level, when you have the orange raptors running at you, you have pterodactyls flying, dropping foot soldiers and dropping rocks. I mean, it's so cool. Everything about this level is cool until the boss.
The thing about this too is it's actually not out of whack. It's not out of place because in the comics they actually did some similar things to this.
They did.
They did, yeah.
I know they went to space, which I didn't know about until I didn't know the orange Triceratops people were actually friends until way later. And
speaking of, actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Triceratons would have been a much better boss on this level than the actual boss we got.
Oh, I agree.
I didn't even because I don't think Triceratons were in the cartoon until way later, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think it's later.
I know I had a toy of them. I had an orange Triceratops. I remember that. But one thing we hadn't mentioned yet is depending on what difficulty you're playing with this game, you have different enemies you might not see. Like I know if you're playing on one of the hard difficulties, you have different pterodactyls that will fly by here and drop rocks or drop different things. The game will be a little bit different depending on the difficulty. The amount of enemies you see varies. You'll see certain enemies you don't see in other difficulties, I want to say. Like the Rockman or whatever the hell they are, they have different weapons than they would have an easier difficulty, for example.
Well, there's only 2 variations as far as I remember, right? The ones that just simply charge and then the ones with actual guns.
Yeah, but they have different... There's some guns they only have if you're playing on a harder difficulty.
Oh, okay.
There's like an electric gun that like shocks you. There's just certain things you won't see if you're not playing this on normal or hard. That easy doesn't have. I played this game a lot when I was younger.
That's a common trope, actually, in video games at this time. I know X-Men on Sega Genesis, and Punisher on Sega Genesis, if you play them on easy, then you will never get to see the last level. You have to play it on normal or higher.
Shitty.
Well, I think that was actually not that bad of a move on their end, though. I mean, it gave you some more incentive to play the game again, just, to not be a girl and play on easy, stuff like that. So.
Before the save states.
Yeah. But it gave you a reason to keep running back.
About 2 years ago, I think it was 2 years ago at this point, me and Red were sitting down and we decided we were going to play through this. And we were playing on normal and we were playing without safety. We were playing, well, not completely legit, but we were playing with controllers. We're trying to play legit. And we both got our asses beat to Slash and ended up having a game over.
Yes, this is a true story.
Yeah.
Where I go. It's still, we were, having a hard time. And Slash, that fight, I really do. When I was a kid, I hated that fight. I still don't like that fight. But
which one's Slash again?
Slash is the cool, awesome-looking turtle with the curved knife that makes no sense, that jumps back and forth. And if you don't hit him if you hit him in the front, he blocks everything you do. You have to get him while he's jumping. If you hit him, like I got him into a cycle where I just kept hitting the back every single time, and I just kept hurting him until he died. And it went really quick.
Even though he has a very hard, spiky shell, his back is his weak point.
Which makes
it's weird. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
he was such a cool turtle.
I wish in every form of their continuity, every time they reboot or whatever they do, they never make Slash enough of a focus. He seems like he's got such a cool character design in most cases, and he could just be such a deadly, murderous turtle, and they just never go that route with him.
They skip him a lot, and I don't get why.
They just don't properly utilize them. I mean, the closest I've seen is more recent times with the more modern comics, IDW. They seemingly do a decent job with them, but even then, I could see so much more potential with them.
Yeah, I agree. And I just never liked this fight. Like, this fight always felt very unfair to me. Even as a kid, as an adult, it feels like the most unfair boss fight in this game.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree to that.
I suppose. I feel like it kind of ramps the difficulty up a little bit more so than all the other bosses feel like garbage compared to Slash.
Yeah,
Slash kind of gives you the first real challenge, you know.
That blocking mechanic that he has is ridiculous.
Yep, no other boss blocks until that point.
I don't even really like when you go to the next level, which is Skull and Crossbones, which is on a ship.
Hold on, before we do continue on the Skull and Crossbones, why in the hell? And I needed to ask this. Why in the hell are these enemies traveling through time with you? Because I doubt Slash is like hang out in prehistoric age just beating off. So why did this happen?
The way I took it was you're chasing after Shredder, and he's just going to places where the foot soldiers are jumping in and trying to like slow you down. That's the only thing I could think of.
Well, good thing they're robots, because that is some dedication.
Yeah.
They are robots in this, I want to say. If they blow up when you hit them.
They're the same. They got practically the same design as the cartoon ones, which were also robots.
Yeah, because back then you couldn't kill anything unless it was a robot.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they're using deadly weapons on them, and that's one reason they made foot soldiers, robots in the cartoon to begin with, is because of the deadly weapons that the turtles were using. It was an excuse to use them.
Yeah, I think where was it? Like Britain or something. They were called Teenage Hero Turtles because Ninja was too violent.
Yeah, they switched out Ninja for Hero. That was in Britain.
Britain, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Huh. Yeah.
And they banned nunchucks. Like they like in the movie in the first movie, 1991, when they brought that to Britain, they cut out majority of the scenes or pretty much any notion of Michelangelo using his nunchucks.
So odd.
Yeah, but with his katanas are good to go.
Nunchucks are the least violent weapon of the four.
Well, maybe it's Donatello, but second maybe.
Yeah,
I don't see nunchucks.
I mean, size are like a gardening tool, so.
I don't know about that. I think size are like one of those weapons that are never really talked. Like, not a lot of characters ever have size. Like, seeing Raphael have size, I remember being kind of like, oh, that's cool because that's an underused weapon. Maybe it's just me not being exposed to certain things.
None of us really were until Raphael used them. I mean, those were a very underutilized weaponry at that time. I mean, who else was using it? It wasn't until Melina and Mortal Kombat, but Raphael predates her. I mean, who else made it? I mean, what's her name from Marvel?
Elektra
was using them, so I mean, other than that, who was really using size?
And I didn't know who Elektra was till way later in life. So
what? Raphael made him badass.
At one point, my mom, after rewatching Ninja Turtles, it was probably late 90s, early 2000s, she actually went out and bought a real pair of nunchucks. She's like, I'm going to learn nunchucks and defend myself and carry these with me all the time. Yeah, that never happened.
Didn't April have like nunchucks or something?
Yeah, I think she like fakes pretends like she was using them because the turtles are hiding from Kino, that weird character in TMN2.
Weird character.
TMNT 2.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Like
He was the pizza guy.
Protagonist.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The really like spooky voice.
I think he was in other. I feel like he was in other. I saw him in some other movie at one point, but I can't remember.
He actually played in the Rundown, was it? One of the Rock movies. He was much older, obviously, and he's bald.
Oh wow.
The guy's actually a badass martial artist for sure.
Yeah, I think what you're thinking of, Mike, though, is Surf Ninjas. He was in that too, I think.
I wasn't thinking of Surf Ninjas, that's for sure. But all right. In the next, especially a little bit ago, the next level you go to is a pirate theme level, which fits. I mean, I don't remember. I don't remember what year it says, but it's called Skull and Crossbones, and I really like the music in this level. Yes, for everyone listening, I actually had music playing fully for this game because it's Turtles, and I have to have music for this game. This is classic childhood for me.
Oh, the music was great. It was way over the top, and it worked.
I love this level too. Like I have never disliked this level, even though you have the stupid boards that can smack you in the face, and you have. I think this is one of the levels that introduces the idiots that will come on the screen, shoot an arrow, and then run and disappear for no reason.
That did introduce them. Yep.
Yeah, I like how Shredder just has different types of Foot Clan members. Like, oh, these are the nunchuck guys. Like these guys can shoot arrows.
And they all got their special color. Like, oh, what color? You're blue. Get that man a katana. What? You're orange. Get that man a chain and sickle. Like they all had their own weapons. Yeah. And so some of the blue guys had axes too. But I loved that when I was a kid. I still love that. Who was I kidding?
It's so goofy.
And then when you fight the boss for this level is Bebop and Rocksteady in like a pirate outfit, which I also thought was super cool.
Oh yeah.
As dumpy as that is, it's fitting, and I loved it.
It's still a good fight. Like it's still fun to fight them. It doesn't feel too crazy. I mean, they kind of can gang up on you, but I really liked it.
I was just about to say that. Didn't it kind of feel cheap though when they would gang up on you? Like there's just no way out of it.
I jumped.
Sure, but they did have that. Yeah, me too. But that one mechanic, if they kind of faced each other, and then Bebop wraps his whip around Rocksteady's sword, then they get stuck for a minute. Then you get some free shots in there.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh, I don't even remember seeing that. Weird.
I've seen it before, but not in this playthrough.
Yep, I saw it a few times in this playthrough, so it's very possible. I'm sure a lot of people went through without actually seeing it, but it's possible.
Apparently, one of us two of us on the show.
Well, at least they thought of something. Is all I'm saying.
And I was glad they found a way to put Bebop and Rocksteady in this game because I've always been a big fan of them. Since that was also another one of the episodes I had on my VHS tape back as a kid was when they get turned into Bebop and Rocksteady.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go on to, for some reason, I don't know why, but even nowadays, this is still my favorite level of the game. Bury my shell at Wounded Knee. And you're on a train. I love this level. I love the music.
I mean, historically, that's kind of a bad name, but it's a good level.
It's 92, so they weren't concerned, but I know what you mean. I didn't think about that, but I know what you mean. I don't know why. I really love that level. I just love the music, which I can't think about how to voice it, even though I want to. I like how you have some of the foot soldiers that are like wearing a coat, like they're acting like they're in a coat rack, and they throw the hat and come after you. You have them riding on horses, jumping on the train with the music playing all loud, and this level has always been cool to me and still super cool. I'm not the only one.
Yeah, it's a good level.
Apparently, I'm the only one that's like, this is great. Best things in sliced bread.
Yeah, I'm sure I could pick other levels that would be more of a favorite level for me, but no, it was okay. Leatherhead, I thought was a step down, not character design wise, so to say, but difficulty wise, he was just so easy. Like you can go through that whole fight and not get smacked once. Like you go from Bebop and Rocksteady to that.
He throws lobsters at. Come on now.
Is that lobsters or is that shrimp on the Barbie?
I think it's. I've always thought he's Australian, isn't he?
Correct.
I forgot about that too. I always thought they were lobsters as a kid. I still think they're lobsters just because I'm just going to go with that. But shrimp on the barbie is funny. But I like that fight. He throws daggers at you and he crawls back and forth. I know it's easy, but he's one of those characters that I always really like, Leatherhead.
Mm-hmm. Was he in the comics or was he made like a toy? Like he was just a.
He's in comics too.
He's okay. Since we're brought Leatherhead, I wish I could find these again, and I know it's just my brain or memory. When I was a kid, I went to a dollar store and I found these 4 trade paperbacks, which I didn't know were trades, but they were like small trades for $1. And for one of, and all I remember one of them was like a galactic fight that had Beelzebub, I think the guy's name, the bat guy with a little friend. Okay. Leatherhead and some other characters that were fighting in this intergalactic wrestling ring. And I actually went back as an adult and went and tracked down these comics. They're called the TMNT Adventures. Oh my God, they're fucking terrible. Fucking awful comics. Yes. Yeah. I was like, nope, can't read this anymore. I'm not 10. Oh, but as a 10-year-old, I thought those were, and I remember at one point when I was older, not an adult, but like probably 16, 17, I went and found them again in my house. I remember I sat down and read them all again. I thought they were still so cool. And then as an adult in my late 20s, I went and tried to track down a bunch of the original run, and I was not happy.
The coolest thing to come out of the Archie comics for me was the Mutanimals, but particularly Mondo Gecko. I always thought he was cool as shit.
I don't even know who that is.
He's the gecko that wears like a yellow shirt, backwards hat, skateboards.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't know why I always liked that guy from the Archie comics.
Huh. Mondo Gecko.
I had that figure.
Yeah, so did I, and that's probably another reason I like him.
Yeah.
They made so many figures. Guy.
And they brought him back for the IDW comics too.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
So
I need to start reading those. I mean, they're probably still pretty good, right? Because I mean, they're written by Eastman still or something.
Yeah, Eastman is still heavily involved.
That's awesome.
I don't know if I say they were still good, but I mean, I know the first appearance of Bebop and Rocksteady is in that run. Anyway.
Well, I mean, they were a Fred Wolf. They were the cartoon. They originated in the cartoon.
Oh, okay. And then okay. I have the first comic appearance.
The Adventures comics were based off the cartoon. That's when they started using the colored bandanas and all that.
Which everyone knows more now. I feel like when I tried to reread, I had a really tough time. Like the art and every panels of the old comics, I was very upset.
If I'm being honest here, even some of the Mirage stuff is hard to read. I mean, unless you're talking about like anything dealing with Shredder, that's always a good read. Anything outside of that is usually kind of hard to read. Just the even, especially the early, mid '80s kind of stuff. Like the voices don't really match up with the Turtles. Like their personalities don't match up to what we know now. It was much different.
Yeah, it doesn't have the same effect.
I mean, Raphael I'm pretty sure was drinking beer in an intergalactic bar.
Pretty sure you're right. With C3PO too. Is in there too.
Is he in that scene too?
You're talking about? Yeah. I can't remember. There's a bunch of characters. If you look back at that scene as an adult, in the old Mirage comic, you can see a bunch of different characters that are from other things that should not be in there, but they were able to sneak them by.
Cameos.
All right. Yeah, well, I wouldn't say these were cameo. These are more called stolen, but hey,
stolen cameos.
Yeah.
The word for that, my friends.
All right, and then you have a really I don't like this level. You have what's called Neon Knight Riders. I like the way he says it, but I don't like the level. You're on those little cool skateboards in the future, and you're just skating around hitting foot soldiers.
I mean, what's the thing that Krang is in? What's that machine called?
It's called Super Krang.
Is it really?
It's this exo bodysuit, but yeah, when I looked it up, it's the boss fight is called Super Krang.
I think the suit has an actual name, but I enjoyed this level just because you get to see him flying in the background before you fight him. I thought that was pretty neat, and it reminded me of F-Zero a little bit, just being on the little tracks there with the foot soldiers.
It also reminded me of, in a way, like a Rainbow Road kind of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just called the Android suit. Is all I got.
Okay,
that's weird. That's what I knew it as, more of an Android suit.
So I got
He's basically a big what would you say, like a big baby? Like a big, he's in a diaper, isn't he?
Like big baby in wrestling trunks.
Yeah.
with Craig is inside him, which I always thought was weird
That
too. And
sounded disgusting.
he sits inside the stomach of the android behind a little glass screen controlling the android, which looks like a big, fat, bald, naked man almost.
Right. It was a weird
liked
design choice. It worked, I guess, for the time, but it was definitely a weird ass design choice. Like in IDW, they make up for it. They make it kind of more badass looking, more so like it's ready for war. But yeah, that original one was a weird ass design.
Which makes sense because Krang is from an alien planet or a different dimensional planet that's all about war and stuff. If I remember correctly. I'm not wrong, am I?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't remember.
His race were conquerors, especially more in IDW. They were straight up conquerors.
Okay, I know even in the old, maybe not the cartoon, but in the stupid comic thing that I was talking about, the adventures that I also had posted one of the images from that people can't see who are listening to this, that they were conquerors in that. I remember reading that, and that always stuck with me as a kid.
Okay.
So, but I wasn't apparently I can't remember enough because it's been so long. I just remember.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time I was like heavily invested in Ninja Turtles. It was probably when I was 5 years old.
Yeah, it's been a very long time. But I always I never. It wasn't until later I realized that Krang is just one of many of a race. Like he's not. He's just an evil bastard from that race. Like that race itself is not evil. He's just an asshole.
Well, that's because when we were growing up, we first got introduced to Krang through the cartoon, which they didn't really show any other Utroms.
That's what they're called.
Yeah, Utroms, yep. And there was a whole race of them, and that originated back in that original Mirage run. It was a whole race of them.
Oh, yeah.
And then you go on to, which I always like the way they say this. It's called Starbase, where no turtle has gone before. And I can't do the voice like the game does, but it still made me smile. It's just, I love the way they introduce it.
Yeah.
This is where you go like a futuristic space base. It's a really cool level. Like for some reason, it's just, I mean, it has freezing floors and you fight one of my favorite, which I just thought about this now, but one of my favorite foot soldiers as a kid, for some stupid reason, were the guys in all the white suits with the whips. And I don't, now like, but I like killing them. I just enjoyed kicking their asses when they come on screen. And I felt that they weren't a very common.
I feel like those were some of the more pain in the ass ones too.
Yeah.
And the orange
BDSM ones. Foot soldiers.
I like the white. I like the orange ones too. With the is it called the weapon kunai with chain? Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
The thing with the okay. Well, there's orange foot soldiers you fight in this game, which I always liked them. I always enjoyed fighting them and killing them.
Oh, you're talking about the ones with? Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't know.
Yeah. I can't remember what that weapon is actually called. I thought it was, unless I'm thinking of the Yu-Gi-Oh card it's called kunai with chain. But
thinking of Scorpion, get over here.
Yeah, that too. I like them. I really did.
Oh, those are pretty cool.
I just love this game. That's all there is to it. But I mean, as I replayed the fight with Krang, which is the final fight with Krang for this, I don't care for it particularly. It's one of my least favorite boss fights in this game because it's just annoying to me. Where he's in that little spaceship.
I didn't enjoy it too much.
Not my favorite. It's a lot longer than it needs to be because he's constantly teleporting across the screen and you can't fucking hit him.
Yeah, and we should also mention that as you go along in this game, all the bosses start to accumulate more health. So like right now at this point, Krang's got a shit ton of health, and so does Shredder as well, if I'm remembering correctly.
He does.
Yeah. So the battle takes a little bit too long. I mean, it should have been more like a short fight, like in like X-Men Arcade or Simpsons Arcade, or at least something to telegraph that you're damaging them better than just like bars that don't really make any sense. Because when you hit them, the bars don't disappear as if you like when you attack them. It's just over time when you do enough damage, then they start to disappear, and it's like, okay, well, can't really track that. It's a weird. Yeah.
I'd rather have the bars than just have the enemy start glowing redder and redder and keep blinking faster to show he's almost dead, like an X-Men. So
Well, just something, just something better, because those bars also don't really sufficiently explain how much damage you're doing to them.
I mean,
It
at
didn't
times
bother.
it almost makes you feel as if they're immune to some of your attacks. Like, well, oh shit, should I not do that again? Because it doesn't seem
Yeah,
like it's affecting them.
that's a good
Exactly.
point. This
hmm
fight, I felt it the most, where I didn't even know I was hitting him. Sometimes, other than you hear the dung 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 or whatever sound it makes when you hit him, I can't do it. But I mean, it didn't really feel like it with this fight. This fight just felt like it took longer than it should, and then he starts dropping out little robot things that chase after you. I know they have a name, but I don't remember what they're called. I just,
Little.
it's just this is definitely my least favorite boss fight. Where I was just not enjoying any part of it, especially
Yeah, I
one
agree.
player. Because when two players, you can kind of like each grab a side and get him. Where one player, it's hard to hold on to him and hit him a lot of times to keep him stun locked. Or I know in two players you can a lot more.
hmm This is true.
And then you finally end your time travel with the next level, which I don't. I mean, every time you beat a level, which we didn't really mention yet, there's always like this green portal screen that goes, and there's some little music as the turtle is kind of flying through into a different area, and then you finally go back to New York, and then you see the Statue of Liberty finally.
1992.
And I was Super Shredder in the comics, or was he originally in the movie?
That was the second movie original.
hmm
Man, okay, because I remember as a kid, like when I first saw this in this Turtles game, I remember thinking it was super awesome. Oh, I still think he's super awesome. And when he's wearing all the purple, he's got all the blades on him. I love Super Shredder.
Super Shredder always looked badass.
Yeah,
hmm
because regular Shredder is a pansy in the original cartoon. My God, he's just a wuss like character. Look compared to what he is like the 2003 cartoon. I mean, they really made him so much cooler than. But the 1987, he's garbage.
Yeah.
I don't like Shredder in the original cartoon.
It's very hard to fear a guy named Shredder who cracks corny jokes, and you've already tossed into a garbage truck before. So
That's
I
the
don't.
first movie,
Yeah,
which is also so kind of funny.
but in the
Well,
comics,
plus,
if
and
I
as a
remember,
kid, yes,
I was just gonna say, if I remember in the comics, I think they kill him in the first issue. Is what happens.
Well,
Could be
originally that was the plan because the first issue was supposed to be a one-off. You know,
right.
they had the villain, they killed him off, end of story. We're done. But it was so popular that they continued and continued and continued, and for a while you don't see Shredder in those comics for a long time because in their mind, oh, we killed his ass off. What's the point? But when they brought him back, that was when the comics really got interesting again back in those Mirage days.
Because they were just printing their own comics, like they weren't part of a publication or something. So when they started realizing people are buying this, then I think that's when they started Mirage, right? Or is Mirage something they joined?
No, it was something. Well, the whole reason behind the name to begin with was it was called Mirage Studios, and the reason they called it Mirage is because they just did it out of their apartment or whatever it was. They didn't actually
Right.
have a real studio. It was like a Mirage,
Right. They were self-publishing, basically.
right? So, and I think that was on the first issue also.
Oh, that's cool.
they're also like all the original comics were all black and white too, and
Yes.
like originally the turtles all were supposed to have the same color, which was supposed to be red. They didn't have the cool colors that we all know now at that time.
Right. Yep. And you
So-
saw the only time you knew that their colors were red outside of maybe mentioning it in the comic was seeing it on the covers. And have fun and when you're reading that Mirage run, really trying to figure out who the hell was talking because you got to like really search like does this guy have a weapon in his hand? Does he have a weapon on his side? Because I don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah, it is difficult. I read a bunch of this early run back in like maybe 5 years ago or so. I was trying to read a lot of it, but I got stuck. It's interesting. Oh, but as we were talking about with the Super Shredder fight, I mean, I thought this fight was cool. I mean, it's one of those boss fights you just got to hit him a bunch of times. He can burn you, he can freeze you, but he can also do an attack that you haven't seen at all. He can turn you into a baby turtle. Shoots a little green thing at you, and you turn into a baby turtle. And I think it's so funny. It hurts a lot, but it's funny.
Animation wise, I thought it was cool as hell how they did it.
Everything. I mean, the sprites in this game are amazing. Like even to this day, they still look so clean, and the game just so fast paced and it's turtles.
I mean, in a way, it's kind of timeless. I mean, it has that cartoon look to it. That's what they were shooting for. I mean, it really can't age much more than it already has.
No, I mean, I was surprised how much this held for a game from the 90s. Like it for a Super Nintendo game, it still held up great. That I still had a blast playing it, and it didn't feel like I was playing something from a relic. It didn't feel like we played NES games on the show, and we even played some Genesis games starring a Cape Crusader that really, to me, felt really aged. But maybe if I didn't play them as a kid. But this game did not feel aged. It still felt clean, great. It was still awesome, unlike the reshelled version.
I mean, other than maybe a little bit of slowdown, I don't know if you guys kind of noticed that, especially like on the Neon Knight Rider. You know, I was noticing some slowdown now and then, but I think that's the only flaw that I really noticed.
I don't think that happened to me, but I do know what you're talking about. I do know it can happen in this game.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's one of the. I mean, it is nice to be able to go back and play something, straight up from my childhood. And I know there's also like a versus mode in this game too, which I never played and never will play.
Yeah, that's something I never explored.
Okay. Yeah, there's a versus mode in this game. And one game I want to briefly mention, which will never be on this show, but there actually is a Turtles 5 that came out after this game called Tournament Fighters, which is garbage. I played it. I played it at one point during the show just for the hell of it.
I'm just here to announce too that I'm putting that on my list for next season, Mike.
It has a story mode.
Does it really?
Mode?
Yes.
I do not remember that.
It's garbage. All right. Any last thing before we go to Shelf or Box you guys want to say about this game?
Excellent. Tubular.
Radical.
Radical. Radical.
Oh, jeez.
I did not get that reference.
You said you don't get it?
No, I don't get it.
It's from the first movie when they were baby turtles.
Yeah.
Learning how to talk.
It's been a long time.
But I can say that the level design I felt was a bit bland on most of them. I know they tried to switch it up by like when it came to the sewers in the second level, dropping in there, or when it came to the ship, like on the pirate ship and the planks and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just felt like there wasn't enough variety. I mean, you didn't jump up to anything. Turtles are ninjas. Like, why aren't they jumping up to higher levels? I mean, they had that stuff in Double Dragon. Why couldn't they have it in this? You know, it was just like a one straight plane from left to right.
This is a better game?
Well, Double Dragon. Hold on now.
That's another episode, but yeah.
Right. But besides that, I just felt the levels were, I don't know, a bit short. I felt like something like a Final Fight 3 had longer, more fleshed out levels in some cases. I just felt they were a bit short.
Yeah, they are short.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say that some of them benefited from that. Like some levels weren't as interesting as others, so they kind of benefited from being short. But other ones I would have liked to have seen longer, like the Neon Lights one. That was my favorite level, just because it looked very cyberpunk. So I kind of wish that one was longer, but it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it's just an arcade game that they put on the Super Nintendo.
Well, and at the end of the day, that is what it is. What would you guys say your favorite level was overall? I know you just said yours, but Mike, what about yours?
Definitely the train level.
What?
It's because of the music. God, I can't believe I said that on the show. Yes, I like the music in a game, and that's why I like the level. But I think it's just, I mean, again, this is all just nostalgic hitting me full. And I think as a kid, for some reason, I thought the train was just so damn cool, and I still like the train level a lot. And I just like Leatherhead. I like Gators, and Leatherhead is awesome to me.
I love Gators.
I do. I've always liked Gators. I thought alligators are just such a cool animal, and crocodiles and everything. They're just so cool.
No, I agree.
The kid in me is coming out when I played this game. Well, if the kid in me came out, like I was back to felt like the 10, God, I must have been when this game came out in 92. I mean, let's say I got 92, 93. I must have, I was like 5, 6 years old or so, somewhere around there, 7. I don't remember. I don't want to figure out the math.
We were 5.
Not so good with the math.
No, not really. But, yeah, and it's just that's something that stuck with me. And again, I think the big reason I like Leatherhead because of that stupid comic, which I did find when I was Googling earlier for those that are curious what I was talking about. It was called TMNT Adventures. It was a collected series, and for some reason, on the cover has a giant cow, a giant floating cow head. That it's called like Cowlick, I think is the name of the character.
Even as a kid, I hated that damn cow.
Yeah, and he eats them, or he sucks them in his mouth, and then they transport to different worlds or something. It's really dumb. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. When I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, that book was awesome. I don't think that book was awesome looking back, but to me it was great. So,
Yeah, just go read the Mirage comics. Those ones are good.
I tried. They are worth reading. I mean, maybe the TMNT Adventures one held up better than what I remember, but it's been so long. Yeah, I don't think they do. But I just remember I opened them up. I bought a bunch of them. I was going to get most of the run, then I started reading. I went, oh, I'm good. Let's put
hit the brakes on that for sure. Mirage or IDW, man. That's your saving grace.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're still going strong too.
Yeah, no, at some point we probably will do one of our comic episodes will be one of the Turtle comics from IDW at some point, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So, because we all want to read them. All right, I think it's time that we should move on to Shelf or Box, because we have talked about this game and the time that you could probably beat this game 2 times already during the course of the podcast. So, yeah. I'm going to go first with Shelf or Box. I think it's obvious. This game's going on my shelf. I think it's amazing. I still enjoy it. It's a fun game if you just want to play something quick. It's a good ass beat 'em up. It has a little bit of difficulty to it if you're playing legit, unlike me. But it's not like overly. It doesn't feel overly difficult. It doesn't feel overly cheap. It's still fun. I mean, there's no way to really get a hold of it. So I'll just say find a way to play it any way you can. I'll just go with that because you ain't buying this game anywhere. It is in an old PS2 game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Mutant Nightmare has an emulated version of this game in there.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, you're really not going to find this anymore. It's not around because.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, but it's going on the shelf, and I'm so glad that we were able to have it on the show. All right, how about you, Stefan?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on the shelf. This time I was able to finish the game without having some little annoying kid next to me turn it off after 5 minutes. So if for anyone who doesn't know, I constantly listen to video game music. I listen to it when I'm in the shower. I listen to it when I'm exercising. I listen to it during other things. And one of the like playing Nintendo. But one of the things that I always listen to and I always go back to is the soundtrack of this game because it is phenomenal. If it was a 1 out of 10, I'd give it like 12 stars. I mean, it's amazing. So it would go on my shelf simply for that, if that's all I had to use. But because I genuinely like the game as a beat 'em up, I'm going to put it on my shelf also for that because Turtles back then was, it was so damn popular. It was everywhere. I loved it. Mike loved it. I think Red loved it. He's still reading the comics. So, it's still going strong. It's a great game. I suggest everyone go play it. So, yeah.
Well, you brought a question up that I was going to say, and I have to ask now. So, when instead of lighting candles, what music do you put on instead to set the mood? Is it the train level?
I just like hearing those dinosaur noises,
Like, come on, baby, don't it get you excited?
Cowabunga.
How about you, Red?
Well, through the course of this podcast, I think it's pretty obvious where I kind of lean when it comes to Turtles and how I might feel about this game. This game in itself just encapsulated, especially at the time and back in '92, just what Turtles was all about. It's about kids having fun and just being, really into something they love, and they just captured the cartoon so well, implemented the new movie that came out, well enough, and it didn't hurt it at all. So this is a game that I'd rather play with friends. I'm not a big beat 'em up fan of playing it solo, but it's something that I would definitely put on the shelf with everything else I have collected for Turtles. This would go up there right with it.
Nice. Yeah, it's an amazing game.
Yeah, and I think that kind of wraps up. I think it's time we should introduce what game we're playing for next week's episode. Unfortunately, Stuart Man isn't here to introduce it due to internet issues, and everything else has been going that can go wrong goes wrong when it rains and pours here. But we're going to be playing Tomb Raider 2. I think it's The Adventures of Lara Croft. I think it's the full title.
Yeah, I think it has a little subtitle.
Okay. So we're playing that. We're going to be playing that for the next episode. So stay tuned for that. That was Stuart's pick. So it should be very interesting. That's all I got to say about that.
Wait till next week. We're going to have there's going to be a lot to say about that game.
Oh, yeah. And for those that have been following, some people said, I never put anything on the shelf. I put the last couple games on the shelf so far. This one, Soul Reaver, Silent Hill, Metroid. Yeah, it should be interesting next week when I get to sit down with Tomb Raider 2, because I played a little bit of it. We'll see what my final take is, but it should be an interesting one. All right. Also want to give a quick shout out and thank you to our awesome intro that we have, courtesy of Bulby, aka Mike Stoney, from his EP Cool Kids Squad, EP by the I don't know. You heard of me before. Go follow him on YouTube. There'll be a link in the show notes. I know it's late. All right. I want to thank everybody for listening, and Cowabunga!
Go Ninja, go Ninja, go.
Go Ninja, go.